We're gonna go to Bond. We're gonna go to Green. Might even go to Sherman, Kenny. I don't know. Maybe Plano. I don't know.
Hey, it's the 12 o'clock siren here at the Cowboy Corner. This is Matthew Harvey. On my left is James Hartley.
Hey, everybody, and on my left is Jason Fuller.
Glad to be back.
Welcome, gentlemen. We have a sweet guest that lined up today. We've got a good friend of all three of us here at the show, a friend, a musician, an artist, and a
all-around good guy.
Graduate of Leonard High School, Mr. Jim Chonga McDonald.
Hey,
what's up, Jim?
What's going on, man? Thank you
Nobel
guys for having me.
Peace Prize winner
Yes.
well.
Yeah, I was also Tom's Man of the Year in 2004.
There you go, that's right.
So
Must have beat out George Clooney that year.
I did.
Yeah.
I also Sexiest Man Alive was 2005. So.
Right
You
on.
and Adam Levine.
Yep.
Jim McDonald is a featured artist at the Lowbrow Hoedown, a Texoma Artist Showcase featured at Tupelo Honey.
That's correct, sir. Yep, we're doing a little art show here coming up next month. It's put on by a guy. I know his name is Drax Goodall, but he has a little company called Minor Threads, and they're putting together a show, so should be pretty good. They're gonna have a bunch of local talent come out. I'll be there. I wouldn't consider myself talent, but I'll be there.
I would consider you talent.
Yeah.
I've seen some of your work.
I'll have goods for sale, and I'd like to see everybody if they can come out and say hi.
Can you give us the where and when one more
Yeah,
time?
Tupelo Honey. It's in Denison, Texas. It's October 19th from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m.
How many local artists are they going to be featuring?
I would say there's probably going to be about 25.
Oh, okay. So good showing there.
Yeah, they'll have artists, and then they'll have guys and gals that do specialty stuff like jewelry or whatever.
Whatever mediums you prefer.
Artisans. I
Saw
guess you
maybe
could say.
a mention of a henna tattooist.
There could be a
like
henna
that.
tattooist there.
But when you say artisan, I think of like spread or something.
Oh, like-
artisanal bread.
Oh
you
no,
know?
I highly doubt that. But I mean, if somebody comes up with
Yeah.
a delicious cheese board,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
Maybe a focaccia.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
bread.
Okay, that'd be good.
So what kind of artists are there going to be? Are we talking high art, painted
No.
landscapes? Or are we talking a little different? What's going on here?
Yeah, I think it'll all be kind of different.
Any
Lots of pop art.
pin strappers or anything?
Yeah, I think there might be a pinstriper in the
Cool.
in the crowd there too. I don't know. I guess you'd consider it all lowbrow pop art type stuff. You're not going to see any of that stuff you'd see at grandma's house. I don't think.
Description is kind of in the name. Is that
Lowbrow,
what we're seeing here?
Yeah, and I'm not sure, to be honest, with what lowbrow, what's classified as lowbrow. I don't know if that would be.
It's not going to be selling on the auction block at Christie's.
It could be.
I would think Itchy and Scratchy is kind of lowbrow, right?
Yeah, maybe.
That's kinda that.
Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, Ren and Stimpy. That's a good one. Rick
Yeah.
and Morty.
Yeah, and speaking of, let me get this out. Speaking of, I know y'all have done, this is the fourth show. This is the first show you had Eugene.
Yep.
He didn't bring anything, and I was disappointed because he didn't bring a salesman sample.
We were, that was our first episode, and honestly, we didn't have our stuff together like we've kind of thought about and
we're learning as we go.
brainstormed here. Yeah,
I think we've even talked about having Eugene back and doing it right.
we
Yeah,
didn't,
bring
we
some
didn't want the
vitamins.
ice to melt in the Coke float.
If, he,
I got you.
if he's interested.
What about the ice to melt in the trough?
That's a different story.
But no, he didn't bring you a salesman sample. No uppers, no downers,
Nope.
and then you had Mr.
In
Martin.
betweeners.
Mr. Martin didn't bring, I don't know, a hay bale.
He did.
Or anything.
He did actually bring a photo, unsolicited, because
Yes.
we weren't even on top of our game at that point. He did bring unsolicited a book about the Shields Giants,
Okay.
And a
and he
photo.
brought a photo that he had from home.
All right, and Miss Hannah, she did step it up.
She
She
stepped it
did.
up. We didn't ask him. We didn't even think about it, but she was more than generous and brought some meat.
It
Yeah, I gained
sound-
weight after that show.
It looks like you had some meat, some
Yeah.
cheese. So for me, I had to do something special for the show, and I had to bring something cool. And so it's over there.
I noticed you brought 3 things,
I
2 of
did,
which
I
are
did.
not wrapped up, one of which
One
is
is.
wrapped up. Is that going to be a surprise?
That's for you right now.
Are you serious?
I would love for somebody. I don't know.
Are you serious,
I'll
guys?
go grab it.
Do you want to grab it, James? Okay, we've got this is breaking news, and we'd also like to announce we're having our first, possibly annual or monthly, hot dog grilling extravaganza outside of our studios. We've got people
There's a
peering
live crowd
peering
out
in the
there.
windows, trying to see what Jim has brought us here, and it's wrapped up in some butcher paper, possibly left by Hannah from last week.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure.
I actually went to the Blue Bonnet.
And you only got
So
paper?
we've got
Yeah.
two
You
pieces.
came away with just the
I
paper.
told her I mentioned the podcast. I got 10% off. So
May I? May
Yeah,
I?
go ahead and
do.
unwrap it.
James
I'm,
is opening the.
You want my pocket knife so you can save the paper?
There's about $30 worth of painter's tape there.
I heard that knife.
If you could try not to cut it up too much, so I can reuse that and pour.
Well, this is really exciting. It's round. Some of your other works
Is it-
you brought in are square.
Is it round?
It may be
Oh, you trying to throw us
hexagonal.
off the trail?
Could be.
okay.
James is slowly pulling back the paper and cutting the tape that binds it.
Did it meow?
Oh no, it's a
yeah.
flat cat.
a puppy.
She wrapped up her cat.
So is this made for the show specifically?
Yeah, I made this.
Oh my!
Really?
Oh my!
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow, that is cool. Yeah, love it. Yeah, we got a circular distressed 12 o'clock sirens sign.
Yes.
First piece of fan art.
This is her
Wow.
first piece of fan art. Yeah, this is.
I had to keep it under wraps. I think I showed Brett.
Can you show everybody at the windows? They're looking in.
Window people, look.
The people at the windows are wanting to see it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
There's
we
a
get some
mob
applause from
outside.
outside. I like it.
There's
There's
a
a
mob
crowd-
outside, by
A
the way.
crowd just cheered. James is taking it to
In the
window
heat.
now.
James is
In the
going to take it
heat.
over. So Jim works a lot with wood.
Yes.
Is that one of your main mediums that you like to work with?
Yeah, probably for the past 3 or 4 years, I really got into more of the wood art type stuff. Building, I don't know, Navajo. I guess is what I call it, Navajo inspired pieces. Geometric shapes and things like that. And then of course, if you know me, you know about the Texas cutouts that I've made and sold and all that kind of stuff. But I've always been more into painting, I think, than the wood stuff. But it's,
Wood can get caught up in being a hobby and a craft, making furniture and stuff. Whether that's not quite art, that's more of useful useful objects. You're more of the art side of that. So
yes, for
you're
sure.
putting wood together in different configurations, shapes, and
Mhm,
and then
yeah.
painting over.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll paint things and then put them together, or paint them, then cut them up, and put those, kind of a collage of wood,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, thank you very much, by the way, for doing that.
Yeah,
You
that's great.
certainly- you
That's
certainly
really
didn't
cool.
have to.
Did-
That was
did he,
unexpected.
Can you sign it before you
Sure.
leave?
Yeah,
Sure.
that'd be
Sure.
awesome.
Did Brett tell you about it by any chance? 'Cause
No,
I
he
told
didn't.
him.
No, that was completely.
No, that was a very
Good,
very big
good.
surprise.
Yeah,
Good job.
I sent
Thank
it
you.
to him, and I was like, dude, do you think Matthew will like this? Do you think the guys will be into it? He's like, oh,
Dude,
yeah,
that's
you
sweet.
nailed
Yeah,
it.
very cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That will not be for sale at the Hoedown.
Yeah,
Or,
that's
sorry, the
No.
Lowbrow Hoedown.
Yeah, that piece will not be coming with me. It's going to stay here.
No, it's
Hopefully-
going to be hung up in Siren Studios.
A
here.
one of one. Yeah,
Hopefully, it'll be here
And
for
a
a
layer.
long time.
very
the
cool.
layer.
And the other two pieces you brought in, I've got two square pieces. One approximately 2 feet tall. The other one
Yep.
maybe three,
Yeah, about
2.5
3
feet or so. Explain what we have here. We've got some. Looks like a mashup of styles, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the larger of the two would be the famous blues artist Robert Johnson, and I painted that just because I'm a music fan, and Robert Johnson's kind of the guy that started everything for rock and roll to me, going all the way back to the blues, and then the people he inspired. So I felt like I needed to paint Robert Johnson. So.
I like the theological themes there. I won't go into detail about them, but one shows where the blues kind of started with the Gospels and the
Yes. Yep.
the singing, and then where he probably learned his skills.
Yes.
So in such a quick manner.
Where
Right.
did he learn his skills?
Well, at the crossroads,
Yeah.
right?
He went down to the crossroads, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know this or not, but he sold his soul to the devil.
Yes, and that's represented in a very creative way on
Yeah.
this painting. You should go to Tupelo Honey to see it.
As not knowing much about him, I did not know that. So
Yeah, it's a really interesting story if you want to check it out.
You have a layered piece of art there.
Yeah.
Well done.
Multi-layered.
Multi-layered.
That's what Jim McDonald is, if he's anything.
I'm
and
multi-layered.
What's your use of color there? What's anything behind that?
What do you mean as far as like the
blues,
black or the
the-
blue? Well, it's just he's a blues guy, and I think he got to a point probably early in his life. He was just singing what was coming out of his heart. And he was, as any blues player would be, probably a little depressed and down in blue. So
Yeah.
I painted him blue, man.
Cool.
Why not?
I like it.
But as far as like the actual paint I used, I believe it was all acrylics and some ink.
Okay. Now, are you using stencils on that? It looks like you
I
might
do.
have a stencil.
I make my own stencils a lot of times, and I use different computer programs and things like that, and then I'll manipulate images and create different layers to I think on that one I added some suspenders possibly.
Okay. I've always been fascinated by this the stencil art thing. Now, when you're creating something like that, are you creating it on you just mentioned a computer program? Maybe you're drawing it on there, and then having a printer print it out, and then you cut it out with
for large scale stuff that I do, if there's anything over say 4 feet or whatever, I'll project it most of the time. But stuff like this, I'll print it. Maybe it might take several pages, and then I'll combine those, and then I'll cut the stencil. Areas that would require like more detail or whatever, I'll have a picture that I've generated that I can look at to add, like the eyeballs. A lot of times you can't, what they call bridge. Eyeballs. Bridging is when you're cutting a stencil out and you've got to have
like the figure 8.
Yeah. And so, I'll just look at it and kind of paint that in there.
Yeah. Freehand.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Your other one, the other one you brought in, it's a red, white, and blue theme with a Native American.
Yeah, that'd be. I don't know who that is. That I believe it's a Comanche, but I don't know if he was a significant Comanche Indian or not. But I put the I don't know what Evel Knievel. I kind of did like an Evel Knievel background with the stars. The stars
and bars.
Well,
not quite.
Yeah, the wife, she thought it was the stars and bars, and I was trying to explain to her, no, it's
technically it is not the stars and bars that you're familiar hearing slang term, but there are clearly stars and bars.
Yes, it is bars with stars inside.
But it's not the same flag you would see flying at Captain Bob Lee's resting place out in Lake
That's
Cemetery.
correct. Yeah,
or over a window in a mobile home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
It's not that. It's just Evel Knievel, because Evel Knievel, that's Evel Knievel.
It looks great.
Looks great.
Thanks, man. It's the first Daredevil.
This is going to be a sampling of what's to be at Tupelo Honey, right?
Yeah, and I've got probably 17 or 18 original pieces that I don't guess anybody's ever seen that are in the same vein as this.
So is that kind of a nod to the Native Americans maybe standing up, trying to
they were
be a daredevil about
they were daredevils, man.
Daredevils with life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look how we use the term Geronimo now, right?
Yeah.
Right, that's a good call.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know. I just always have been fascinated with the Native American culture and stuff, and I've painted Sitting Bull several different times, and so
also Geronimo, right?
No, I don't think I've done a Geronimo yet. I've done a few chiefs. I'm not sure what their names would be. I just found the images intriguing. So
pretty uniquely American subject matter too.
Well, let me ask a question here. So, obviously, go to Tupelo Honey and check it out. But if somebody wanting to support local artists and kind of get into the scene, what would be a good way for somebody to do that? I mean, you obviously have like a Facebook page.
Yeah.
But give us some idea on how to support.
Well, obviously, tattoo studios that are local. I mean, those guys putting out tattoos and doing things. There's a couple guys that are real special in this area, I think, that are doing phenomenal work. But as far as like your artist, like I guess what the things I do, it's just seeking those people out and word of mouth. For me is the biggest.
You wanna give any shout outs to any local artists?
Yeah, man, for sure. Caleb Stone and Jace Edward up at Electric Age Tattoo. They just opened up a shop, and they're both real good friends of mine. My friend Ricky Wheeler, he does a lot of kind of, it's going to be weird, but he does a lot of bone articulation. He takes animals and then articulates their bones.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah, I follow a guy on Instagram. I can't remember what it's called, but it's
Modified Remains.
That's
yes.
it.
Yeah, he's a real good friend of mine. He's doing some unique stuff that I never even thought of.
Modified Remains for y'all that didn't catch that. Really cool stuff.
Hashtag.
Yeah, his shop actually, his studio burned down a couple weeks ago, so it was kind of a bummer. He lost a bunch of exotic species. I think he had a sloth and stuff that he.
So he's taken bones and skeletal remains of animals and
he does a
humans,
full process. He uses a certain beetle that will eat the flesh and things like that away, leaving the skeletal remains, and then he'll clean those and process.
I think I saw that on The Mummy once.
And kind of puts them back together.
He puts them back together.
Wow.
He just did a really cool thing where he took, he kind of did like a crowdsourcing. He was trying to get a giraffe skeleton, and this thing's like, I don't know, 20 foot tall or something. Jeez. But he didn't reach his goal. I think it was going to be like $8,000, but he got close. He got like $6,000, and so what he did is he bought 2 separate skeletons, some exotic species of animal. I'm not sure what it was, but he articulated those, and then he donated them to local high schools. And so it's just something kind of educational, I guess, for the kids. It's pretty cool.
His page is awesome. Go check it out.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Modified
we cut
Remains.
you off there on your artist.
No,
got
man.
a little further into that. Any others that come to mind?
Oh, I'm sure there are, man. Locally.
Where do you find yourself gravitating to? Like, I know there's a scene here. You just called out a lot of people. There's probably a scene in Denton. You know, is there a lot of?
For sure.
I don't know what the term is. Is there a lot of like cross pollination there? There's some communication between scenes, if you will.
There probably is,
Right.
but I'm kind of out of that loop, I guess, just being older now.
Sure.
And not, growing up, I was into art, but not as much as I am now. So I didn't really get into that kind of scene.
That was going to be one of my questions. What do you consider your first piece of art that you made? What maybe step away from music because you can lump that into, but maybe like physical art, drawn, painted.
Probably there was a company called Yeti Skateboards, and this was back in the MySpace, so this was probably around like 2005.
Okay.
And I'd got into like concert posters and stuff, and I'd always been to drawing and things like that. But anyway, this guy, he saw some of my concert posters, and he reached out to me through there and was like, "Hey, I want you to design a skateboard." And I thought, what? There's so many, and that was pretty cool. I don't think anything ever came from it. But I did a design, and it was kind of around that time that I was like, hey,
People are interested.
You got recognized.
Why would they?
Which is cool.
I didn't think anything about it, like anybody even caring anything about what I had drawn or done or whatever.
It's kind of how we felt when we released the first episode of this podcast.
Yeah, that's how this podcast started.
This podcast is the same as art. It's one of those things you take a chance, and
Sure.
you're going to be judged. People are going to like it.
You would be doing this whether you're going to a show in Denison at the end of the month or next month anyway. You'd be at home painting or putting something together that you think is cool and that you can respect. And maybe if somebody comes along and likes it, then that just is,
Yeah, I mean, for
bonus points.
every 10 or 20 pieces of art that I've created and sold, I've still got one or two sitting in my garage.
Right.
Or one or two that I've tore down or repainted over.
How much of your spare time would you say you
spend painting? I guess.
art takes up?
Oh, well, lately it's been quite a bit. I don't know, maybe 30% or so. I don't know.
I'm sure there's a ramp up with the show coming, right? You've probably been dedicating some time.
Well, yeah, I did last month for sure, and that's why I knocked out 17 or 18, whatever it was.
I don't think I recall seeing these in your photos online, and it looked like you had a lot more to take. How much are you taking to the show?
Like I said, 17 or 18 paintings and some a wood thing. What is that noise?
I think it's
is that a bird?
I think it's a cooler shutting in the next room.
It's probably my child.
Could be
I thought
the
it might have
mob.
been a bird.
No,
Could be the mob of fans outside.
It's either a mob of fans or a mob of zombies trying to get in here.
It's hot out there. They're probably trying to get to some air conditioning.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you. We've all known you for a while and always known you to be a artistic guy. Is there one particular piece of art that kind of sticks out in your head that you're proud of, that maybe it got recognition, maybe it didn't, but you just feel like this is peak Jim?
Oh, something that I created personally. Probably
G.I. Joe movie.
Oh yeah,
Stop motion G.I. Joe movie.
I was there for the creation of that.
Yeah,
I think I was asleep. But
Robot Chicken, which is a show on what is it?
Adult Swim.
Adult Swim. Yeah. My friend Jason here, sitting to the right of me, came up with the idea for Robot Chicken, and we created the first stop motion G.I. Joe.
And it was amazing.
Yeah,
on the floor of your parents' dining room, if I'm not mistaken.
It took several hours of setup for about 30 seconds worth of movie.
But it was amazing, though.
Yeah, no, I made a cool piece of art that I was really proud of for my wife. It was just one of the Texas cutouts, like I'd mentioned earlier, and the wood wasn't anything special. I didn't reuse, like her grandma's house wood or anything like that. But I just made this piece of wood, painted it white, and then the kids, I have 2 daughters. They came out there and put their handprints in different colored paint and splattered it all over it. And so she's got it hanging up in her office, and it's kind of special for us, So I think
Very cool.
I think I know the answer to this. Some of your influences.
As far as artists go, for sure, I would say Ed Roth would be probably the number one. He's kind of the guy that, for me, I think started everything. And then, Kenneth Howard, who everybody probably knows as Von Dutch. Kenneth Howard is the kind of the father.
That's like the sailor style, tattoo style?
No, that would.
Or am I thinking of somebody else?
Yeah, that's I guess Sailor Jerry.
Oh, that's
Sailor
Sailor Jerry. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
What about the guy that did like scary stories to tell in the dark?
That's Stephen Gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty influential for me, especially, you know, being in like 3rd or 4th grade and getting hold of those books and looking into these macabre
Yeah.
drawings of grotesque.
Still make me feel
Yeah,
weird when I
they
see
really
them.
are. And I was at a flea market a couple weeks ago, and I found that trilogy, the original
Yeah.
trilogy book set, and it still had the everything. I mean, it was perfect condition.
So where are these influences coming from you in the 80s and early 90s?
Yeah.
Probably you don't have the internet. You don't.
Where,
Maybe you know, the library at school is not carrying a lot of this stuff. Where
No.
are you picking this stuff up at?
100% MTV.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
We had the cable. I remember specifically being in bed one night, and there was a show that came on MTV called 120 Minutes, and they played a lot of underground, kind of underground, unknown artists. You know, maybe not less mainstream. And there's a band from Dallas who I've come to absolutely love. I don't know if I can say their name on here, but
But they were good.
the last part of their name is Surfers.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
And
the Beehole Surfers.
Yeah, the Beehole Surfers. And I was laying in bed, and this video came on called Who Was in My Room Last Night, and immediately there was something in my brain, probably 11 years old, 10 years old, I don't even know, but had a Robert Williams old hot rod car was in there. I think Robert Williams might have been in there, and he's kind of a forefather in this surrealism, this pop art type stuff, and a lot of these Rat Fink type characters.
Right.
Hot rod theme comes up a lot.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
had a lot to do with inspiring
Yes.
art as well, right?
Yeah, that for me specifically, that video really kind of changed the way I looked at art, as they would say. I thought, who comes up with these characters, and why is this not, you know, why isn't everybody into this? I thought it was so cool.
You're talking about the big monster type things.
Yeah,
the,
like
the big
Rat Fiend.
the big
Yeah, the Rat Fink.
it's
It's like,
gear shifters
yeah,
and
yeah.
the big tires in the back.
Mhm.
I had skateboards
Yeah,
in the
skateboard,
80s, and a
all
lot
that
of the
stuff.
skateboards, all of it was that stuff.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you.
Jim Phillips.
I always
That
felt
was,
like
that was my jam.
Salvador Dali meets like Johnny Cash,
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
surrealism versus rockabilly, and
Yeah.
it kind of melds.
Yeah.
you know?
Skateboards is how I was exposed to it. A lot
For
of that,
sure.
a lot of those graphics when,
Mhm.
and I was just buying stuff from probably Walmart, you know, mass
Yes.
market
Yep.
stuff for kids. But that's still all
It's
that stuff
exactly-
is where I was exposed to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember looking at the bottom of my skateboard and just
Yeah.
just looking at these images and going, well,
This
where's
is
this
great.
come from?
Yes.
You know,
Drag races, man.
I would-
yeah.
My dad's been taking me to all kinds of motorsports, especially drag races, since I was a kid.
Mhm.
Every T-shirt you see is a Rat Fink T-shirt.
Yep.
Yeah, and like my dad, he wasn't a racer or an artist or anything like that. So, just finding those, being exposed to that, you know, through TV, just kind of
Yeah. Is that a large part the Southern California scene, I guess?
Southern California.
Well, I think the you mentioned your dad. He wasn't into that scene, so probably being exposed to that, it was such a pivot from your normalcy.
Yeah.
It was the same thing, right? I grew up listening to like the Eagles, and
Mhm.
and you know, and then when I heard Slipknot or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
it was such a departure from my normal that it left a lasting impression
Yeah.
on me.
Yeah,
You know?
and those are the things like you'll remember, whether it's music or
Right.
art, whatever it might be. You know, being exposed to that. Steve Nazar, I got to send a shout out to him too. He's another one of my huge influences. He is the guy that there was a video game back in 1990 or 89, I guess. It was called TNC Surf Design, and his
Mhm.
characters really kind of changed my outlook on art and kind of my personality.
It's a
even.
difficult game too.
It is
Yeah.
difficult.
I
It
was
was one of those games that had like maybe 2 games that I could actually play on it.
You had the surfing.
I don't
and-
remember
was
ever getting
difficult.
past the first or second level.
Oh, I
Yeah.
could crush that game, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a beast on some TNC surf.
I remember you saying something on Facebook about that being an inspiration for you,
Yeah.
and I thought it was cool that, you know, just something as simple as a video game,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
can
weird.
inspire you to do some of these things.
Yeah, it's weird how like that. Those memories from when you're a kid or whatever, and you play. You get the box, you know, the game, the box art and stuff, and you end up spending more time staring at the box
Yeah.
art. It's the same with records or CDs and stuff. The same thing. My brother had all these, you know, records and cassette tapes when I was a kid, and I would sit there and stare, you know, at like Van Halen 1984, that iconic album cover. I'd just sit there and stare at it and think, man, this is so great.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
didn't have the phone in your hand to Google it. All you could do is just look at it
Yeah.
for
And that's
hours upon
Yeah.
hours, and maybe talk to your friend about what
Yeah.
maybe he saw when he looked at
Yeah,
it,
that's what I was gonna say. Is now with
Pre-internet days were
Yeah.
not that
They,
good.
they
really.
were, they were, you had to think, man. It was
Yeah.
really crazy.
that's what I was gonna say though. It's like with the phones and all this stuff. Now you reconnect with some of this. Like Steve Nazar, when I was 10 years old or however old I was, I had no idea who Steve Nazar was. I didn't know. I just knew this guy drew some really cool stuff. And
But
then
thanks to Wikipedia, you now know where
Yeah,
he was
and then
born, and
30 years later,
He's sick and tired of you standing on his front
Yeah,
porch at night. and
he's
stuff.
tired of me like
Yeah.
DMing him or whatever on Instagram, like Steve, hey man, is there any way But it's pretty cool how it kind of comes full circle. I guess I don't know.
now how do you deal with creativity, right? Like, so I don't consider myself an artist at all, but I am kind of an aspiring author, and I like to write and I like to create in that space. And sometimes it's really hard for me to overcome like just that block. I don't want to call it writer's block, but where you're like, man, I want to create, but there's nothing coming.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like if I don't have an idea or whatever, if I don't have anything, then I don't even worry about it
Right.
because it's no big deal. No, but there's no pressure for me because it's not my full-time gig. you
Sure.
know. There's a lot of guys that this is what they do: tattoo artist, muralist, and things like that. They have to come up with ideas.
And then the lack of pressure probably allows you to be more creative anyway.
Yeah,
So
it's like there's no pressure. I mean, I do get commissions for things,
sure.
and I'll take those on, and that's fine. But as far as like coming up with an original art piece, there's no.
Because as we all know, when you have to create something, the value of it or the
Mhm.
content of it tends to slide off, I guess.
Yeah,
Sure.
and it's I just did an interview with a local paper, and that was kind of one of their questions too. And it's like whenever the woodworking stuff or whatever was really taking off, and people were really getting into that, it was a lot of fun for about a week. And then when you work 40 hours a week at your regular job, and then you come home and you work 40 hours a week in your shop, and you kind of lose that love for
Became
each
a
one of
job.
those. Yeah, each one of them's handmade, but I didn't have any type of emotional connection.
Yeah.
It was more like I was a Hobby Lobby manufacturer.
Just a
you know.
production line.
No offense to anybody at
Hobby
You know,
Lobby.
Don't
I've got
say
a-
a word about Hobby
Hashtag-
Lobby. My wife she'll
I-
come in this place.
I actually have a friend that has art pieces in Hobby Lobby.
Does
Jeff-
that mean you made it? I don't know. Does it?
I don't know. No, his name's Jeff Norwell, and he's from Canada. I don't know if he'll hear this or not, but Jeff, I love
If you send it to him via email, he will.
Yeah.
You can share the Spotify link.
Yeah, Jeff, listen to the podcast, but he's a great guy, and he had some stuff there in
That's
Hobby Lobby.
that's interesting. I never really thought about Hobby Lobby art being made by an artist. Is
Yes.
it it made by just
Well, they'll take like he did he did an image of a kind of a Robert Williams. He took there's a Robert Williams painting called the Hot Rod Race, and Jeff took that image and kind of reworked it and made his own, in a sense, his own piece, I guess. But anyway, Hobby Lobby picked it up and they kind of mass produced these images on wood or whatever, and then
cool.
sell them for whatever.
So I was looking at the Minor Threads
Uh-huh.
Facebook page, and Minor Threads is obviously a take on Minor Threat, right?
Yes,
So that's a
punk band,
from the
80s.
80s
yeah.
or so. That might kind of give you an idea of where the art content is headed
Yeah, for
the Lowbrow Hoedown
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
Tupelo Honey. And I was reading where they I was reading what they said, and they said that a large part of the reason that they're doing this event is mainly inspired by you.
Yeah,
I
don't
know
really.
I know you're a humble man,
Whoa.
No, I don't think.
and don't think that you would have any influence like that. But they said it themselves that this is partially inspired by what you've done.
No, I think
So I'd like you to
Joe-
expand on that a little bit, or is it just a jab?
I just think it's a jab. I don't think he meant that. I really don't. I mean, I noticed he said that too. I
Well, you've done something like this before, right?
Yeah, I did.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I had a friend that had passed away, a real good friend of mine, and I put together a benefit type concert for him. And it was more music and hot rod driven than it was art driven. I mean, we definitely had artists there showing pieces and selling things. We had a lot of original artwork, but it was more geared towards music and hot rods. But this deal's more for the art. And Joe, I call him Drax Goodall's what he goes by.
Okay.
I guess that's his punk rock name.
Sure.
I guess. But his real name's Joe. Anyway, he had put that on there, that the show was kind of inspired by me. But I'm thinking, dude, so
Wait,
many.
he did also say you were one of the first artists that he contacted to get
Yeah.
on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty.
And
That's pretty. You gotta feel good about that.
I guess I don't
Just say yes.
like saying yes. I don't think
Yeah,
I
you're too
don't.
modest.
He feels good about it.
Too
Guys,
modest.
I can tell by the look in
No.
his eye.
I don't
You're
look
also
at,
the first artist we called.
Yeah, that's true.
well, I appreciate.
I mean,
Looky there.
you are the top young up and coming artist from Fannin County.
I don't know
so
about that
I mean,
either.
I can see Jim's
at some-
discomfort level
at
rising.
some
Yeah.
point you're gonna have to accept your title and
I don't like-
just accept the fact that
just-
we think your stuff's good.
Well, I appreciate that, but I just know there's so many other young artists, especially coming up. It looks in Fannin County, Collin County, Grayson, all these other surrounding places, just locally and as far as like nationally, there's so many artists that aren't recognized right now, and I mean these people are phenomenal, and I mean it is really nice for everyone to have nice things to say about my art, and I do appreciate that, but I don't think I've influenced anybody in anything I've done.
You've certainly done something to make people notice, so that's all that matters.
Well, I appreciate that.
What are some of the other bands, music, food, maybe that there might be at this show?
Ooh, I don't have the flyer in front of
And,
me.
I'm not expecting you to know anything. I just kind of that was a shot in the dark.
This
Yeah.
is a podcast. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. As far as music, I don't think there will be. I don't know if there will be anybody there. That's their deal. I made the poster for the show. I told them I would do that since
That's one of your things.
yeah, concert posters and working with bands and stuff like that.
If you book them, they will come, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
if you say it on the flyer, will they just show up?
hopefully, I mean, we hope to have all these people there, and we hope to have a good turnout and maybe get some exposure for some of these guys and girls. But yeah, I don't know about like my bands. You book us, we might show up, and we might not. I don't know, but that's the way it always went.
Let me flip that question then and ask you what bands influenced you. You talk a lot about music. What are some of the things that you were listening to? You said Van Halen when you were a child.
Oh yeah.
What are some of the things? A lot of things you do are Americana, I would consider.
Mhm.
What are some of the subject matter that you like to draw on?
Like while I'm listening to music,
No. Like subjects for art, like American Indians or
yeah, just
Your muse.
your
if you
muse. Yeah,
will.
you've used
Just iconic.
Walter White, things
yeah,
like that.
iconic images that we see, like like your Walter Whites or your Jimi Hendrix, things like that. Things that I'm familiar with that I had a connection with personally. A lot of people, they might look at a Jimi Hendrix that's got 3 eyes instead of 2, and they're thinking, "What is this?" But for me, I don't know. It's kind of like
Can I commission you right now?
possibly
I want something 1776 oriented,
like a
revolutionary, like a cannon, a George Washington.
maybe.
Okay,
Okay, yeah,
maybe
George Washington riding a cannon.
yeah, great with 3 eyes.
Okay, I'm in. I
Yeah.
can do that. Yeah,
Herbie Hancock. I was thinking in my mind, it came out of my mouth.
Herbie Hancock.
John Hancock's
John
name in
Han-
the snow or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
we could do that.
I'll give you free creative license, just something revolutionary era. I
Okay.
want that.
Yeah, I can do something.
We'll
I'm sure.
discuss terms later.
All
that
right.
brings me to my next question. The mediums that you want it on, would it be wood, paint, collage,
I'm gonna give-
digital,
Again,
signage?
I'm going to give Jim creative license there to work within what mediums he thinks
Okay.
necessary.
Well, it'll probably be wood and India ink
Okay, yeah.
and some Valspar exterior paint and primer.
Low
Because
VO2s.
That's what I use.
What kind of nails do you use?
I use a 18 gauge
Okay.
finish nailer Porter cable,
Good.
and I use the 3/4 inch.
It's a hot topic on the art circuit, you know.
Yeah,
just
man, they're like, "Hey, what kind of
18
finish nailer are you using on that thing, man?" Porter cable.
So your art probably spills over a little bit into picking.
Picking, just what is this? As far you mean
Your
like
picking life. I mean, that has a lot.
antiquing.
Antiquing.
if you will.
It used to be known as antiquing until like the mid 2000s.
Junking. We refer to it. History Channel came up with the term picking. I think there were pickers back in the day, but we always just referred to it as junking.
Yeah.
And I've been junking since I was, I don't know.
Probably find a lot of inspiration there, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
That's a pretty big part of your life, right?
yeah.
But you-
it was for sure for a long time. Recently it hadn't been as much, with work and things like that. But I still,
How does your wife feel about that?
I don't know.
Loves it. She's thrilled
She told me
about
the
it.
other day
No.
she loved it. I
Yeah.
saw her at the Chamber of Commerce meeting, and
Yeah.
I asked where Jim was, and she was like, "Oh, he's at home working on stuff, and it's gonna be great."
Oh,
That's
whatever.
exactly what
Yeah, I
happened.
bet she did.
No, I didn't ask.
No, she's.
She swinging
I
at
did
you.
see her though.
Yeah, I don't know. My house is kind of like
Jim has 3 houses and they're all full of stuff.
I do have a lot of stuff, and
I remember going to Canton with you and my mom and dad when we were kids in junior high or so, and little did I know we were picking, but we were just looking for junk,
Yeah.
cool junk. And Jim always had a good eye for that sort of thing.
Canton in the 90s defeats Canton these days, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you want to go, here's a pro tip: if you're going to go to Canton and you want to try to find something cool, go on Wednesday.
Prior to.
Yeah, you want to get there when the dudes are pulling up with their trailers full of junk, so you can pick
Oh,
through
there
them
you go.
first. You don't want to
Yeah.
go on Saturday
I
morning.
know we have a lot of Trades Day listeners.
My mom will
Uh,
run you over with her little collapsible.
Yeah,
trailer
Really?
thing.
Your sweet little mom.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I went to Canton. The first thing I bought within 5 minutes, I bought 2 bowling pins.
I
Yeah.
bought.
I remember you bought a rooster
I
at
did.
Bonham Trades Day one time.
I bought a rooster at the Bonham Trades Day.
Did you or did you not set it free when we left?
It was set free in the parking area as soon as.
What was the name of that?
What's that?
Bonham Trades Day?
That rooster.
Oh, the rooster? Oh,
Yeah.
I don't even remember, man.
I do. I was just hoping you would say it.
No, I don't know.
Can you
Nah,
share it or is
nah,
it?
this
It's not
I
for,
shouldn't.
okay.
That might be for the other podcast, but
Forget that.
That'll be on the after the
The late
siren.
night.
yeah,
Yeah.
late night listeners.
It's, the same place you can find Hannah's meat jokes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
Siren.
There
Yeah, on
you go.
that. What do they call that? Premium content.
Yeah,
Yeah, for those
Premium
for
content.
those
Swipe
searching
up.
on the page right
Swipe
now,
up
that
for
that.
this,
Yeah,
this
you're gonna
doesn't
have
really
to-
exist. This is
Swipe up for the name of Jim's
rooster.
rooster
Yeah.
from the bottom trades day.
No, I let
Only,
it.
only if you're a Patreon supporter.
Yeah, we bought him. We had the cage. I think I gave $5 for this rooster, and I carried it around the whole day. And then when we got back to the car, it wasn't going to be able to fit. So I just said, "Hey, you know what, man? You're free, bud."
have a
And,
good life.
Yeah, we set him free. I left the cage, and he took
You
off.
liberated that
I did.
rooster.
And this Hispanic family, beautiful people, they were up on the hill, and
Caught him and ate him.
they I don't know what
They
they
started
did,
plucking
man.
him right
But
then.
They definitely chased him, and I got in my car, and
This
drove.
is the South. You can't set a chicken free
No,
here.
man,
It'll
they-
get fried in 10
they
minutes.
said free chicken, man. I don't know what the word is for chicken, but they
Pollo.
Pollo, yeah. Los pollos hermanos.
I think you knew that.
Yeah, I would have if you would have give me a minute, but it's like horchata. Have you ever had horchata?
Horchata.
Have you ever had horchata?
Yeah.
Oh,
Makes-
shout out real quick to my boy Damian Portillo in Miami, Florida.
All
Just got to get that out there
All
right
right.
now.
All
I'm
right.
sure he's listening.
Hey, I do want to talk at some point. I want to, and Matthew's kind of got the little list of the agenda items here. I do want to get into some music
Sure.
stuff.
Sure.
Is this an appropriate time, Matthew?
yeah, absolutely.
So, Jim and I used to play a little bit together, and I think we came from different musical worlds. Can you just give us a little bit of your musical pedigree? He is a drummer extraordinaire for those who don't know.
I don't know. The extraordinary part is way off. I'm a mediocre drummer at best.
False.
At one point, you were a really good drummer. I can't speak for your
Jim
skills
has
these days.
played places like the Leonard Gym, the Legion
Legion
Hall
Hall.
across the street.
Right
I'm-
across-
An enclosed trailer.
Enclosed trailer, Legion Hall, Leonard High School Gym, JC's Whiskey River,
Club Optimo.
Club Optimo,
Texas Blues Bar in Longview.
Texas Blues Bar. Yep, all these great places that are probably Chauncey's.
What was the Fort Worth one where Mudvayne played? We were so happy to play, and then there was like 9 people there, and it was about the size of Texas Stadium. It was huge.
Oh yeah, I don't remember. I do remember that show, but I don't remember
It was
the.
terrible.
Yeah, there was about. Yeah, you had
Our
like,
bassist didn't show up.
That-
Tony Orichiga,
Nope.
if you're listening.
Tony-
That was
we
all
still
with the
carry a
back-
grudge about that.
That was all with the Baxter Stockman project. Now
Yeah.
you went on to
It
do
was.
bigger and better things
Yeah.
with a little band called Pushrod that
Push- oh,
people
speaking of-
around here may know.
Yeah, here you go. Speaking of push rod,
All right,
I didn't
he
know.
brought his little
I didn't know. I got
legal pad with him.
Yeah, I didn't know if that would get brought up. And here's a.
Oh yeah, is that all we had to do? Is bring it up to get a sticker?
Well, I was going to give it to you anyway.
Awesome, thank you.
It's got Leonard, Texas on the
Yep,
sticker.
I love it. We got a Pushrod sticker, Leonard, Texas, star where Leonard is in Texas, a hot rod across the front, Pushrod up top,
Yeah.
tachometer, speedometer for the O and Pushrod.
Yeah.
You can't get much better than that.
And-
Black and
you
gray.
could if it was edible and like a smoked meat.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, and on a cheese platter or whatever.
Oh, wow,
the
that's
dude
cool,
that
man.
did
Thanks for the
that
sticker.
originally. Yeah, no problem, man. The dude that did that originally, he misspelled Leonard, and we printed like
Mm.
500
Mm.
shirts or something. We had a
Mm.
big show coming up, and we printed like a ton of shirts. We had all these boxes, and somebody was like, "Where is I think he redid or swap the O and the N or whatever. And it was like, where's Lenaro?
One of my first lessons in small business was getting T-shirts made and making sure that people know how to spell.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was at that release party.
The first thing that I ever did was I forget what it was, T-shirt or hat or whatever. But I realized my tagline is foot pegs with benefits. Benefits isn't something everybody can spell.
Yeah, that's a
I
hard
found
word.
out.
So
It's one of those things you got to be aware of.
Do you ever think of words that you can't say, so you just spell them?
Give me an example.
Worcestershire.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Worcestershire.
Rural.
Rural.
I can't say that word.
I know.
That's tough.
Why is rural so
I
hard?
don't like
Rural.
it. Yeah,
I just say
Is it our southern slang that makes it hard to say?
I think it is.
I don't know. Who's that out there?
That's old Sam.
I saw him at Walmart a couple weeks ago, and he was maybe 10 feet away from me, and he was going crazy. And I said, sir, I don't know who you are because I can't see you because my eyes are so bad. And I had no idea who it was, man. And I had to get caught, like, right up to him, and I realized it was Sambo. And I was like, oh, my goodness, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you because I can't see you.
I have a medical condition.
I'm blind, sir. But, yeah.
So you guys still playing push rod? Y'all still play shows?
Yeah, well,
You're on extended hiatus.
yeah.
Tell us
kinda.
about Pushrod, though. There's
Yeah.
some fellow Leonardites in
They
Pushrod.
are.
My wife knew about push rod when we got together, and
Did you say
I thought it was pretty cool because I got to go, dude, I know the drummer from
Infamous.
push rod. And she was like,
Oh.
oh my God.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, thought it was a big deal.
Mike McBroom and Danny McBroom, we were push rod, and we'd never officially, I guess you could say, broke up. They ended up having to move down to Austin, and they're still down there. But we'll play, maybe a couple times a year. We'll get together and do a show down there. And I think we're gonna do Hank's in December.
Ooh.
Oh,
We're
wow.
gonna try to.
That's exciting.
Consider this an RSVP.
That
Yeah.
could get rowdy.
I'm gonna. If Mike, if you listen to this, you're the one that told me about it, so I'm holding you to it. We're gonna try
And
to.
now it's out there on the internet.
Do you know I played with
Yeah,
Pushrod
it
once? Jim got tired of playing the drums. He handed me the drumsticks and walked off in the crowd.
That was See, it was a participation.
Well,
band.
I've seen
Like,
some
oh,
strange and unusual things at Pushrod shows.
Yeah, and that's kind of the music was fun. It was okay, but I think a lot of people came to
The music was
shows.
great.
The music was
You're
great.
underselling the music.
Yeah.
It was great.
Really good.
Well, I appreciate that.
You're too modest.
You too
I'm
modest.
sorry.
should-
I
At
don't
some
like-
point, you got to go. You know what? I'm doing cool things, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna act like it.
No,
I've been
No,
to a
that's
lot
part
of
of your
live
charm. We like it.
music that I enjoyed, and Pushrod is up there
Yep.
as far as fun live shows.
yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and I think that's a lot of people. The name got out there because we were playing quite a bit at the beginning, and we were trying to. I don't know.
Make a run at it.
Yeah. We were kind of more geared towards this absolutely awful Texas country.
There's a big hole in music around here, and y'all were
Yes.
filling a hole that it's appealing,
Hot
and it's
rod
not
music,
it's not the same
rockabilly.
thing that everybody else is doing.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, first off, for argument's sake, though, I got to say this. Texas country is not bad. There's just a lot of bad Texas country artists.
There you go. Okay. Well, everybody and their
Saturated.
Saturated.
Yeah, they
Saturated
come
market.
out-
and
Yeah,
it's
to be
saturated
fair,
with-
man, a lot of that stuff it gets lumped in for lack of a better term.
there are some good artists, like Charlie Robinson,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Oh, we listened to that back in the day, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm not too hip on what's out there now, but I mean, a lot of that at the time, it just seemed like everybody was throwing something out there trying to get it
Yeah,
to stick.
sure.
If you could play guitar and had a decent voice, you were a Texas country artist, and
Yeah.
that was the problem.
But their
Right.
song, I don't know, I don't want to get into it, but as far as like their song structures and songwriting ability, I never felt they were strong. I couldn't do it. I wasn't a songwriter. I'm not a songwriter, and I just played the drums, man. That's all I did. But if we wrote a song or whatever, and I was like, dude, I don't know about that. Kind of sounds, I don't really dig it.
Iffy.
Yeah, we
It's
would,
not your sound.
yeah, we would try to rework it, and sometimes I got, hey, that's cool, we'll do that, and sometimes it was like, nah, this is what we're gonna do. And so I was just a drummer, man. This was my gig, so.
Well,
Cool.
Dave Grohl has a joke about when he was playing in Nirvana and writing Foo Fighter songs, and he was like, the last thing a drummer says before he's kicked out of the band is like, "Hey guys, I wrote some songs."
Yeah, right. Yeah, I never wrote anything for the band, but
No.
I think the big draw for that band in particular was the live environment because we definitely did not take ourselves seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You played to the
they're
crowd for
Moto
sure.
Chonga.
The crowd didn't leave without a certain level of satisfaction.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Some-
There was also a rowdy following
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Pushrod.
There was a lot of a lot of that going on. You know, there's certain places I'm not allowed in, and it's not it's not because of something I did. Let's get that out there right now.
It's just
but
guilty by association.
yeah, it might have been, you know, a bunch of hot rodders or whoever come up to the show and start trouble or and whatnot. You know, I saw my fair share of your barroom brawls
Right.
per se, but
Any
they
motorcycle gang
yeah
cuts, if you will.
yes yeah.
Okay.
I will not mention.
Sure.
I wouldn't.
Well, I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't.
Matter of fact, let's
Not on
just
this
stop talking about
podcast.
it.
You better
Yeah.
not.
No, I won't mention the ones that I would say have a run in. I've never had a run in per se, like they're gonna, you know, cut me up or something, but I have seen their wrath
Yeah.
and steered clear of that at the bars. and
Culminated in
stuff.
Waco, Texas.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I mean, you'd have those guys showing up at shows. These outlaw kind
So
of
hot
guys.
rods pop up a lot. What are you driving?
What am I driving?
Tell us about your hot
your
rod.
hot
Jim.
rod, bro.
I got a 2004 Dodge
No,
Caravan.
no.
That's
Tell us
not
about
the
your hot rod.
That's-
Once again, modesty here.
Tell us about the hot rod.
2011 Nissan Sentra.
Okay.
No, the one you dug out of your
Oh.
grandparents.
The one that had a tree growing through it. Do I have
It
to
was
tell the
a-
story?
No, 1950 Chevrolet pickup truck. So it was a 3-window.
Let's play a true or false game. Do you or do you not have James Hetfield's number in your cell phone? Plead the fifth.
If I needed, okay, I'll say this.
He's listening, so
Yeah.
If I needed to talk to James Hetfield, I'll say this. If I had to talk to James Hetfield within the hour, I could talk to James Hetfield.
Ooh,
wow.
Yeah.
Scoreboard.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
not from a musical connection. That's from a hot rod connection,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
That's impressive, man.
Wow.
Scoreboard.
As a fanboy of Metallica, that really.
Wow. I didn't know that about you.
Wow.
He lives in Vale.
You're too
He
modest.
does. He does live in Vail.
I
knew
could
that.
show you where he lives if you'd like me to.
Yeah.
You had tea there once. I don't
No,
know.
I never.
Oh.
But yeah, he's a big hot rod guy.
Had a tea bucket, right?
Yeah, that was built by a guy named Dennis McPhail out of Wichita, Kansas. He's a amazing artist.
He's had a lot of cool rides.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
The Black Pearl that he custom built is pretty amazing.
And he owns Artist at Large Tattoo up there. So if you're ever up in Wichita, stop in there and see Dennis and his crew. But he's done a lot of work with Metallica as far as they had a music festival, Music Festival, or something like that. And
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
McPhail was one of the guys that created the entire art show for that. And then there's another dude named Donnie Giles that's done a lot of work with them. If you watch that documentary, Some Kind of Monster,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think Donnie's in that documentary a couple times. He paints a big mural, like
Nice.
that Rat Fink style. They're all surfing or whatever.
That's cool, yeah.
And
Sweet. So what'd you do to the truck? You didn't talk much about it. We did.
It's a family heirloom, right?
It is. It was my great grandfather's.
Wow.
His name was actually Jesse James McDonald.
No way.
Cool.
I swear to you. And no, I asked my grandfather Clyde when he was alive. You know, I said, "Hey, can I have that old truck of your dad?" You know, and he said, "Yeah, you can have it. Just dig it out or whatever." So I went out and we dug it out and brought it back. And right across the street here, you know, if you guys know Dusty.
Yeah.
He had a shop right here. He's moved over to Bailey now, but he had a little shop, and I was always hanging around at the shop, painting stuff or doing whatever. And I talked to him about helping me, because I didn't know much about
Mechanical things.
Yeah, I like to look at hot rods.
When you told me you rebuilt a truck, I was shocked.
yeah,
To be completely
Yeah,
honest.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead.
I was impressed
It
by
was-
your
Agree with that.
motivation, but I was completely shocked that you did it.
yeah, it was like I didn't know really the first.
No
thing.
disrespect.
Yeah, no, I know. it was just one of those things. I talked to him about it and what it was going to take and this and that, and he said, "Bring it on, man." So we brought it up and kind of tore it down and did some work on it. So Dusty did the majority, I would say, but I did get my hands dirty, and I got to bring my grandpa up to check it out, and he was the first person I ever gave a ride to in that truck. So
That's cool.
What's
really cool.
What's your grandpa's story around here?
which one?
He was from Blue Ridge, right?
Jesse
That's where he
James.
got the truck from. I remember
Yeah,
going out there
Clyde.
once
Yeah.
to your grandparents' place.
Yeah,
out
he
there.
was a dairy farmer there in Blue Ridge for his entire life up until he was probably around 92 or
Yeah.
so, and then we moved him here to Leonard with my grandmother. My father bought them a house over on Griffith Street across from him, and moved him up, and pretty much had to pull him out of there because he was
Yeah.
still trying to milk cows, 2 times
Yeah.
a day, and he's probably the toughest dude I've ever known. to be
I
honest
remember
with you.
we went there one time. I don't know if you remember. And I want to think I saw that truck sitting there, but I'm not sure if I did. But it was the winter time. We walked in, and it was about 120 degrees in there. The candles were melting.
Yeah, that's a great. He had a wood burning stove. They didn't have, they didn't have heat or air conditioning or anything like that out there. We'd stay out there in the wintertime, And my grandpa Clyde, he had a wood burning stove in the living room, and it took up easily, 3/4 of this living room. You had there was a couch and a recliner and a TV, and he would have this thing so hot that the pipe that went outside would be orange at the top.
Jeez.
Wow.
And I mean, he would just be feeding it. And I remember staying out there when I was little, like in the wintertime, and I would pass out. I didn't go to sleep. I would pass out on the couch because there was no oxygen. And then I would wake up, a couple hours later after the fire had died down a little bit and the oxygen had came back.
Oof.
My grandma had candles and stuff all in the living room, and they would always they literally would lean over from the heat.
Wow.
But he liked it hot.
Well, you got a sweet truck. You drive it
No,
at all anymore?
It's got some work that needs to be done. Last time I was out in it, I believe we might have blew up a carburetor,
What'd you end up putting in it?
a 350.
Cool.
Yeah, just a typical little
It's
hot rod. It's nothing.
Lowered with the
Yeah.
white walls and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just hot rodded.
Patina.
Yeah, I just left the patina there. I didn't repaint it. A lot of people are like, "Oh man, when are you gonna repaint it?" I'm like, "Dude, it's already repainted. It's took like 60 years. I'm not gonna go over that, but I don't know. Eventually, I think my goal will be to restore it to the way it was when my great grandfather brought it home. Like my dad told me stories of being at the farm and seeing it the day it rolled up, and my aunts and stuff, they remember it. And so I think it'd be cool to restore it back to the original, the way it was. I'd like to paint on the side, paint the name of the farm or whatever on there. That'd be cool.
That kind of is a perfect way to wrap this up, because that's
Yeah.
kind of what we're doing, trying to bring some stories back like that
Yeah.
back to life, and bring some shine some light on folks around here like
Yeah.
yourself that
Thank you,
are
man.
doing some cool things in the art world and being a part of cool events in the community. Denison being the feature for today for the Lowbrow Hoedown Texoma Artist Showcase.
Tupelo
great.
honey.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do some brief quick hits on the
Sure.
on your event.
Yeah.
Once again, Lowbrow Hoedown Texoma Artist Showcase, October 19th from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Tupelo Honey Bar and Grill.
Correct.
That's in Denison, Texas. Put on by Minor Threads.
Yes.
The vendors and gallery submissions, I'm not sure if I should tell this, but it's just information I got.
Uh-huh.
If you want to be a part of it, I don't think they're sold out. Are they sold out yet? Do you know?
Man, I'm not sure.
Either way, give them an email. Maybe they'll have a bigger event next year.
Yeah.
At Minor Threads Co. MINORTHREADSCO @gmail.com. If you are an artist around the area interested in getting your stuff out there, give them a holler. Maybe you can get on board with it. I've got a list of artists that are going to be there.
Sure.
I've got Heather Durden, John Zapata, looks like Linkara Bashirs, Rachel Karch, Sarah Myers, Shannon Orr, Black Willow Chain Company. It sounds like jewelry.
Yeah.
Neil Brown,
friend of mine.
Stranded. Neil Brown is?
Yeah.
Cool. Stranded on Earth. We've got Adventure Tribe, MC Gowan, Chris Hale, Nate Lightfoot, Allied Teas, Imaginarium Delirium. That sounds interesting. You know anything about that?
I don't know if that's a band.
It
Or-
sounds interesting. We got Jeff Smith, Caleb Stone, and one and only sitting next to me on my right, Jimbo.
That's me.
That's
Yeah.
him.
Cool, man.
We've got 5 questions
Yeah.
that
Oh,
we're going to
yeah.
wrap this thing up with, if that's good with you.
Yeah,
You got
cool.
5 more
And-
minutes?
We're going to do as we normally do. We're going to do an after the siren, but I think we're going to do something a little different. I think Jim's going to stick around for after the siren, right? So we can delve into some other topics.
Maybe get
Excuse
into
me,
those.
I did have one question before we get into this. What's the difference between picking, hoarding, and collecting?
Man. Well,
I might have your wife on.
Prescription
I might have your
medication.
wife on to answer that question.
Man, I wish she was outside. I would have her come in here and answer
She
that.
might be here
She'd
by now.
She'd be so. My daughter wanted to be on here so bad.
Oh, really?
dude. She,
Bring her on.
Like she started crying, man. When they drove off, she was
No.
crying.
Oh.
Poor baby.
She had jokes, but picking is the art of driving around with your buddy and you see something cool and you just stop. It's not going to the antique store. If you go to an antique store, you go to Trades Days, that's not picking. You got to get out there and get dirty. You got to beat the bushes.
Okay.
You got to try to find it. And then hoarding I would be classified as a hoarder.
That was my next question, my follow-up. Where are you on that spectrum?
I honestly, being dead serious, I think I have like that mental that mental whatever that is, that block. I don't know, where you can't get rid of stuff because you have an emotional attachment to it. You know, I'll buy like
Yeah,
an old sign or something, and I just bought it, and somebody will offer me 10 times what I gave for it.
It
and
might
I'm
just resonate with a memory or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm
Oh,
like,
I have.
okay,
I'm
so-
worse. I have like one good sock, and I can't find the other sock. But I'm holding out hopes
Yeah,
that it may turn
it
up.
will turn up. Yeah,
So
you got to keep it.
yeah, I have a lot
Wishful
of
thinking.
Yeah, as
just
far
lonely socks.
and I think that collecting, starting at an early age, I got into collecting stuff like bottles and things
Yeah.
like that.
Pez dispensers, me
Pez-
and you both got
Yeah.
into.
Heck yeah, Pez and stuff like that. And so it kind of turns into, well, I can't get rid of this collection.
It
And
means
then
too
you-
much.
Yeah, you put it in a box and sitting in a corner in your garage, and then you collect something else, and that's in a box. And now I have barns and shops and garages full of collections.
It's
that are-
fun though. You do have some cool stuff.
It's fun for at the time, but now it's kind of getting to be a burden, I think. So
Yeah.
look out, there might be a massive sale at Jimbo Compound.
Ooh.
McDonald Training Company on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yep.
On the Facebooks.
Okay, we ready to go to the jar?
I think we're ready.
All
I
right,
got
we're going
one.
to the
Cue
jar.
up.
Go
Who's
ahead,
first?
James.
All right. Oh, sorry, wrong one. What album, song, or artist is playing on your stereo or radio or iPod right now? Pull it up. Pull it up.
We're asking the
I
tough
bet-
questions here.
I bet it's JoJo.
Casey
dude,
and
could be,
JoJo.
it could
Kennedy
be
was
anything.
listening to JoJo.
Necromantics.
All right.
The song is Moon Chaser.
I was going to go with Key Sweat, but that was wrong.
All right.
Yeah, followed by psychedelic. What's this? The psychedelic witchcraft. They're from
Hey.
Italy.
Let's pause here. Let's everybody look at their.
Yeah, this will be fun.
I don't know if I want to.
I'm going to. I'm going to be really embarrassed.
I
It's
was
Carly Rae
surprised.
Jepsen.
Honestly, I was surprised that it wasn't Don Henley. All she wants to do is dance because
Okay.
that's my number one
Ooh.
played song.
I got an interesting one.
Go to Spotify.
Oh, the last song that was played is this song by Mutoid Man, "Date with the Devil."
This is going to be boring. I feel like it's going to be boring because we talked about it last episode. Matthew and I went and saw Slipknot. I made a playlist from the Slipknot Dallas thing,
Mhm.
and I'm actually listening to their new album. So I'm listening to Soul Way Firth by Slipknot.
I've got Red Hot Chili Peppers' "Higher Ground," the Stevie Wonder cover
Cool.
From Beavis and Butthead.
from that soundtrack.
Greatness.
You guys you couldn't guess mine in a million years.
Oh, yeah.
Still running.
Eddie Money.
Ooh, that's a
no.
good guess. R.I.P.
That's a
Eddie
pretty
Money.
good guess, though. R.I.P. Eddie Money.
Yeah, Eddie
So what
Money
is it?
tribute.
Uncle Ted Nugent, Free for All.
Okay, all right.
Okay, cool.
I could have guessed that.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it?
Just
Is it
kidding.
on my face?
No, I could have guessed Ted Nugent. I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
I could've
if you were
gotten
going to say
songs.
like Enya or something,
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
I love
you
Uncle
probably
Ted,
would've- Yeah.
All right, so we on to random question from the jar number 2.
Yep.
All right, Jim. Who's the most famous person you've ever met? We're talking name exchange, handshake, anything like that.
Well, and remember, he can get a hold of James Hetfield.
Yeah, I mean, who's the most famous? Is it James Hetfield?
Did you ever meet him?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I've been at events that he's been at, but
Wow.
I've never like went up to, hey man, I'm
Sure.
big fan. But no, I've never done that.
That'll all change after this episode.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna make it. Probably. I don't know.
You never met like Ed McMahon or anybody like that?
No, I met Dennis Rodman with Matthew one time.
Yeah,
that's
that,
pretty
I
good
asked
one.
my wife.
Speaking
that
of
question the other
Rodman,
night,
did
and
you
she-
guys watch his 30 for 30?
I did
It was
watch
really
it.
good.
I just
On your-
randomly.
He may
on-
have
on your
saved
text.
the free world. I don't know if you
Yeah,
realize that or
Very
not.
possible. Yeah, I've met him randomly in Newport Beach, California, at his beach home.
No,
And I wish if I could go back in time, I would have.
that home was actually on the 30 for 30.
Was it?
Yeah, I saw.
We
it.
should-
Kevin, I've been there.
We really
Yeah,
should
Jim
have
was there.
played that more and maybe tried to get in there.
Yeah, I looking back, I was so
Looking at the
starstruck.
Yeah.
picture that y'all guys showed me, he didn't look too receptive.
Well,
No.
that was in
House
his
guests.
biggest binge session of his life,
Yeah,
so he was
he-
probably feeling terrible, and he looked pretty bad.
Probably
Like
in altered
Coke and
state there.
booze
Yeah.
and-
Yeah, he was
He
in
was
party
cool.
He's a
central.
very hard drinker,
I mean, he was
AIDS,
super nice.
according to his 30 for 30.
He was cool with us.
And then there was an entourage of what appeared to be
Couple other
you know,
fellas.
Yeah, some upstanding looking gentlemen. They pulled up in the alleyway.
But
there.
he did say that he was more famous than Michael Jordan at that time, which is
Yeah.
probably
Yeah,
accurate,
probably
and
so.
is probably the most famous person you've met.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For
For
me.
that.
Yeah. Maybe
Kim-
Donnie and
Kim Jong Un put him on the map.
Yeah.
All right, so me?
Go ahead. This is 3.
Outside of your current job,
Mhm.
what's the best and worst job you've ever had?
Oh. Best job.
Outside of where you currently work, obviously.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I don't talk about that. Worst job. I don't know. I worked for Texas Instruments for a while.
I remember those days.
Hey man, if you're a factory person or whatever, all I gotta say is just hang in there, man. I don't know how you do it, but it's brutal.
Yeah.
I think we did 12-hour shifts, and I was young, 19, 20 years old or whatever. So I had a real bad problem with authority, and we didn't get along very well. And I lasted 89 days. I was hired with the temp company, and the 90th day was my last day.
There you
Camming.
go. You showed them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, any particular good job that sticks out during that same time?
Good job. And I've worked for some pretty decent people, I guess. I've worked for some weird people.
Funnest job then?
Probably when I worked for Harley.
Okay.
With all my buddies, because it was kind of like you're not really going. I mean, you're working, but you're going and you're hanging
out with your bros.
Yeah. That was pretty fun.
Fair enough.
All right. Here, random question number 4. I seem to get this one every week. What's your first memory of Leonard, Texas?
It might just have to be a standard question.
Yeah.
I think so.
Maybe we
Yeah.
should just work that in.
Well, I grew up here my whole life, so I don't know if I could pinpoint. Like maybe the first conscious memory I could.
What about best?
Best memory. I'll just say my first conscious memory of Leonard is also my best memory of Leonard. It's my grandmother, my beautiful, dearly departed grandmother, who I miss and love dearly. She had taken me and my cousins to Bimby. She had to run in and get some roast or something. I don't know what she was trying to get. Anyway, she's in Bimby, and she says, "Y'all sit in the car. I've got to run in real quick." And so we were sitting out there, and back in the day, the cars had the cigarette lighters, and we were pushing it in, and I pushed it in and pulled this thing out, and it was glowing orange. It was like the most beautiful orange glow. It was like, a moth being driven.
Let me guess.
And so my cousin's like, touch it. And their dad smoked cigarettes. I guess my dad, he might have quit smoking. He used to smoke, but anyway, I didn't know that it was going to be the same temperature as the sun. And I stuck my finger and pushed in on it, and it burned my hand. So of course I jumped out screaming. I ran into Bimby and found my grandma, and she had like this rump roast, and I was crying, and she said, "Put your finger in the meat." And so I had to carry around this rump roast, and I had my index finger dug into it. So that's pretty cool.
Wow.
That's good. That's a good one. All right.
All right, number 5.
So number 5 and final here. If you could find out, man, this is a good question. If you could find out the absolute truth to one question, what would it be?
Oh man.
Like if you had,
It's a loaded question.
Yeah, what's that one burning question?
yeah, I mean, if
above
you,
all questions.
you have
So
a meeting
many.
with the divine creator, right?
Oh man, there's so many.
Okay, throw one.
I'll just.
One of your top 5. We'll understand.
I've got one, and after this, if you
Okay,
guys don't mind.
Oh.
Okay, Jason, go.
Okay,
Give Jim time to think about it.
yeah, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Kraft box of spaghetti.
Yeah.
You see it sometimes in the spaghetti aisle. It's a little
Yeah.
green box.
Yeah.
Inside of that box of spaghetti is this magical stuff Italian mix,
Mhm.
and I want to know what's in it. I've tried to recreate this seasoning my entire life.
So you could,
and
like-
All right,
they
Jim.
don't have
Not
any
the multiverse
information
theory,
on there.
You know,
You could
Yeah.
solve who
killed
No,
the
JFK.
JFK, yeah, the moon.
I
I
that's-
don't,
landing.
I don't
think
care
that's what
about that. That
everybody
doesn't
was
affect
thinking.
my life. I need to
Pyramids.
know what's in this stuff.
Yeah,
I think we were all thinking JFK, and
Yeah.
Jason comes up with the Italian seasoning
Yeah.
recipe.
Yeah, Kraft spaghetti in the box. Check it out. If you can find it on their website, email me that.
Okay.
Matthew.
JasonFuller212 at
It
Gmail.
might just take an email to
Yeah.
Send it
shoot
like,
it off
oh,
and
yeah.
ask him.
Yeah, I don't.
Can't-
I
Wow,
don't
I hadn't thought of that. Man, I'd like to have that back.
Matthew, you gotta. If you could find the absolute truth.
I think I'd have to go with aliens.
Yeah.
You know, are they real or are they not? Let me see one or something.
Here,
you
let
know?
me
Oh,
answer
they're
that.
real.
Can I answer that for you?
Let's
Yeah.
get into that on the after
Yes,
show.
they are real.
And
Okay.
we'll talk about that on After the Siren.
Maybe the ruins of Puma Punko.
Let's get into a
in
lot of
Bolivia.
Jim stories
How
on
did
the
that?
on the
come about?
recap.
Yeah, we've got a recap after the siren coming up right after this with Jim McDonald. That's question 5.
That
He
was
didn't-
question 5.
He didn't
yeah.
answer though,
He
and neither
didn't-
did I.
We'll tune into the recap to find out his answer.
All right.
I think that about
Nice
wraps
tease.
it up. We've had a good time here talking with a good friend of ours about his upcoming show at the Lowbrow Hoedown at Tupelo Honey in Denison, Texas. It is a showcase of Texoma artists featuring all kinds of medias and subject matter. The event is going to be October 19th from 2 p.m. to 7. 25 plus artists and vendors are there. Go check it out. Go support your community. Go support these local artists who are making some really cool stuff, and all they need is a little bit of support.
Yeah.
Go buy some of their stuff. Put it up in your living room, your bathroom. or just
Buy
maybe
it for a
make,
gift.
make a donation if you don't want to put it up, or
My
if you don't want to
stuff's
actually buy. You can
all
always
wood.
support.
You can use it as fuel.
Yeah,
That's what I tell people.
Put it
yeah.
in your giant wood burning
I make a
stove.
metal product. I say, hey, it's scrap metal. If you want to take it to the scrap yard, you
Yeah.
can get some money for it.
Yeah, like
Right.
my grandpa Clyde would buy a piece and put it in his wood burning stove.
There you go.
I think the thing to take away is Fannin County and Texoma land is growing, and there's lots of sons and daughters of Fannin County and greater Texoma land that are artists and up and coming, so please go support them.
Thanks, man. Thank
Yeah.
you guys.
Thanks for coming on,
Yep,
Jim.
thank you very much, Jim.
All right, thanks, everyone.